Well, hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to another episode of Pull the Trigger. Oh my goodness, you're in for a big treat. I'm so excited to have my dear friend, mi comadre, mi hermana, una chingona. You are in for a treat, let me tell you. And if you would please, as always, before we begin, give us your undivided attention because this equates to retention. Now, having said that, for those of you that don't know me, my name's Sandra Gonzalez. I'm a retired Marine officer turned life coach speaker, and I help high caliber women and men kick self-doubt to the curb. I help them cultivate their sexy confidence so they can authentically step into any room and stand out as a leader. And now this episode of Pull the Trigger, it's about helping you take action. It's about empowering you with the tools so you can be successful in growing as a leader. So having said that, I'm so excited because my guest today, again, toda una chingona, Miss Nancy Haines is a spectacular woman I actually met while we were both living in Dubai. And now Nancy, who's a confidence coach, a corporate trainer, she's also the host of her podcast, The Art of Being You, and is the founder. Let me tell you, this is the queen of confidence. She's the founder of the Center of Confidence, which again started in Dubai and is now based in the UK. So Miss Nancy Haines, who's in the UK, and now I'm in San Diego, California. Even though we're miles apart, amiguita linda, I love you and for, and highly respect you from afar. And I can't wait to see you again. But if you would kindly introduce yourself to the audience, I know they're dying to hear more from you, as am I. Take it away, amiguita.
Take it away. Take it away. Ay, mujer. Well, what can I say? I'm so excited for this episode. And I think sharing our own experiences and knowledge, and just, even if just one person takes action, that like you've done your job. Like, yeah, I did my job for today. And this is the best part of all of this. And yes, as you said, this confidence coaching, I think it's so different because every one of us, for example, yourself, like in the body confidence and the mindset and so much of that. And it's because of your experience. And same with me. I think a big part of it actually came from all of my, I don't want to call them failures, but my challenges. My challenges were the thing that pushed me into this, because previously I was doing human resources. And that in itself was my own, okay, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I didn't even know what a life coach was, to be honest. So ahí me fregué yo, because I was like, I don't even know what this is, but a ver qué. But it all came from my divorce. When I getting help myself, like I had no idea. So when I got divorced and then afterwards, just trying to understand myself, like what happened, in getting a coach and then understanding more and more and more. I just, honestly, I fell in love with that concept. And then that made me realize how much I could help those women that are falling in my footsteps, or that have been through the things that I've been through. Because we're so good at hiding our stuff, right? We're always smiling in our pictures, and we're always like, ay, la vida de esta como divina garza. And then you're like, little do you know, like, this was created by years of work behind the scenes. And nobody knows that, right? Like, nadie te pregunta about that stuff. It's only when they see you buying nice things and traveling and living the life that all of a sudden you capture people's attention. But nobody sees the years of work behind that, the tears, the nights of insecurities, roaming in your mind, living in your mind for years. And so that little by little started leading me into everything that happened to me, body shaming, toda flacucha. And I'm like, how am I going to get a man? Like, sin nachas y sin nada. Like, I'm just like, God, like, it was crazy. But You learn to love yourself along the way. And you're like, who cares, man? Like, it has nothing to do with that. The divorce, you're like, yeah, she already has like the scarlet letter. Like, yeah, está pa' fuera. And just everything at work, not speaking up, not really knowing who I was is the biggest one that I think was my, like, I always wanted to do what everybody else thought I should do. The good girl. Like, I carried that like with a badge of honor. Like, no, I can't do that because I'm a good girl. But I couldn't even define myself. Like, I didn't even know who I really, really was until all of the coaching that I got. And after a few years, and then it just really, truly made me a completely different person.
Beautiful. I mean, and again, I love these conversations with you because someone can look at us, as we're having our coffee. We were at the Dubai Mall that morning, that afternoon, having a nice coffee, which eventually became lunch because the conversation just
comadreando.
And people looking from afar can see, estas mexicanotas having a great time in Dubai, which we were, but really what the conversation was about was so deep, about, the struggles, about the challenges. And I love that you started off like this, amiguita, because really it's about that rawness, right? Those challenges that like either break you or make you, and you realize, no, I'm going to learn from this and move forward. So would you say having those coaches by your side, having that accountability, that's one of the main reasons why you chose to become a coach yourself?
Yeah, 100%. I think because of the impact it had on me, like, I think we never, and I say this as a Latina, and then as an American, so de los dos lados, nobody teaches you to go inward. It's always outside. Yeah. Who's looking? Que la tía que va a decir? Que los primos? And you're just like, you're constantly, what are they going to say? Like, oh my God, what are they going to think? What are they going to think? And it's like, I am done. I'm done pretending. Like, I think I hit that point of, I'm done pretending that everything is okay. It's not.
Wow.
It's not okay.
That's so good, amiga, because I'm actually, a little bit of raw transparency here, but it needs to be said. I'm actually experiencing that as I'm starting to date and go out there, and it's like, ¿qué va a decir mi tía? ¿Qué va a decir mi madre? ¿Qué? ¡A la chingada! Soy cuarentona y puedo vivir mi vida. I can do whatever the hell I want.
Yes.
Love these golden nuggets you're dropping, amiguita. So tell me more about this, because how can, for these high caliber women and men that are watching, how can they tap into this? Because I know you've, like, through our conversations, again, I love your energy. I love, your authenticity. You live with integrity again, and you've helped me reignite this belief. You've helped me, like, no, mujer, keep going. And again, this is why we're comadres, we're sisters for life. But how can the person watching right now, really tap into that inner belief, so to speak?
I think a big part of it, and you said it, is authenticity. You really have to look at, who am I really? Like, you have to go inward. You got to do you know what? A lot of people think getting a life coach, es porque something is really wrong. Like, ay, me estoy deprimiendo y ay, me voy a matar. No. Before it gets to that point, like, get some help, get some, like, just action points to just help you, like, maneuver through life. I had never, ever even heard of any of this before. And I think that's the part that, like, I didn't even realize the power of authenticity. I have to tell you, the moment that, and I'm being completely honest, con el que me casé, I did it because everybody else wanted me to. So it was like, that's the right thing to do. He's the right, like, check mark all the boxes que nosotros pensamos that this is what you need. And I knew in my gut, like, this isn't what I want. Like, genuinely in my gut. And I knew it as the limo was driving me to the church. Like, this is not what I want. Like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? And I was, no joke, praying to God, I hope somebody looks at me in the eye and like tells me, you don't have to do this. Wow. Because I would have been like, okay, like, bye. Like, I'm not showing up. And I felt alone. And a lot of people will feel alone. I will tell you that right now. When you know something isn't right and your gut is telling you something else,
yes,
you feel alone, te da miedo. Like, I don't want to make that decision. Ay, porque qué pasa if I'm wrong? No. If you feel it in your gut, no, that's the way to go, because you're being authentic to yourself. And that is the most important. You're being authentic to yourself. Todos los demás, look, they don't live with you. They don't pay your bills. And even if they do, it doesn't matter. They don't live with you aquí. And this is who you're with every single day. So that's the part that I think you said it, which is authenticity is really looking at who are you? Like the decisions we make, like even buying, going shopping, when you pull something, you're like, ay, me gusta esto. Do you really like it? Or is it because you're just used to wearing that? Mm. Whether it's a skirt, a sexy dress, or a certain color that you're like, ay, siempre agarro el negro y el azulito, like, you know, and you're like, why? Why do I always do that?
Yes.
Oh, it's because, you know, with the bright colors, I don't want to be seen porque luego va a decir, ay, luego van a hablar. Like, pues que hablen. Like, do I want it? Is it because I want to buy it? And then it's like, pues sí, I do. And then you buy it and then you feel so much better. Even if the críticas are always going to come anyway.
Yeah.
Pues ni modo, like, you just do what you got to do. And I started doing that, but it takes step by step. It's your confidence doesn't like all of a sudden you have all this confidence, right? No, it comes little by little. It's like, you know, the snowball effect of you make a decision from a place of empowerment and then it rolls y se hace más grandecito. And then you make the next one from that place of empowerment. And then it gets easier. And then it gets easier porque then the críticas, you're just like, meh. But in the beginning, it is hard because then they will tell you like, ay, esta ya cambió. Like, oh, she's not the same. And you're like, oh my gosh. Like, I don't want people thinking that. I don't want to make anybody feel bad. And you're like making yourself smaller and smaller where you're like, no, you know what? I'm not showing you because I want to be a show off. I'm showing you because this is being authentic. This is me living my authenticity.
Yes.
And it may help somebody else live in that authenticity. I'm like, so that's amazing. Like when I see your videos, you're constantly on, like at 4:30 in the morning, I'm like, esta mujer, ay, like I wish I could be like her. And I was like, okay, but you know what? Not because I'm getting up at 4:30, but I'm like, okay, me voy a levantar media hora más temprano. Like it's that little bit of inspiration where you're like, but you know what? Because I'm confident in myself. So when I see you thriving, I'm not thinking less of myself.
Right.
I'm actually inspired by your actions.
Yes.
So that's when you know, like for anybody, do a self check-in.
Yes.
Like when somebody else is thriving or, you know, they're dating or whatever, and you're like, bueno, pues yo no. And you just start feeling like it. It's like, no. Where is that coming from? And you question it. Why am I feeling that? Because I have a fear. I have a fear of being alone. I have a fear that I may never find that person. Be honest with yourself. Like, where is that feeling coming from? And like get to know those feelings. Don't run away from them because we're so good at guardando all these feelings and like shove them in the closet. But at some point, that closet is going to bust open with all that stuff that you need to work on.
And without a doubt, Amit, I know you're this advocate of authenticity because when I've posted something where I'm like, ¿qué dirán? ¿Qué van a decir? Sometimes, you know, when I do that intrinsic self-reflection, I'm like, me vale madre. And I post it, and there's Nancy. You know, there you go, commenting, "Ay, qué bueno, amiguita." So I love our friendship, our sisterhood, because it's nos tenemos que echar porra. We have to help each other, inspire each other. But it takes that mindfulness and that self-reflection to realize this woman is inspiring me. I'm not any less because I'm not doing what she's doing. She's inspiring me, and that's such a great way to look at it. And having said that, Amita, you're without a doubt an agent of global change. Having been in the UAE, now you're in the UK, you've been in the US, who knows what other country, you're in this international goddess, but you're definitely this agent of global change, amiga. And I bring this up because, the global pandemic really affected everybody. It affected everybody, right? And many people lost their confidence in themselves. So in your words, amiga, based on your experience, what is one way that a woman can regain her confidence despite anxiety, despite this big setback, which affected everybody? And I know mental health is on the rise. So what would be your recommendation for this high caliber woman or man entrepreneur that wants to regain their confidence despite the setback?
Do you know, funny that you say that. So let me tell you, before I answer the question, being vulnerable, I think when you share your experiences, it kind of helps piece the things together, right? So you're like, let me give you this part and then everything else will make sense. So even for me, and I say this, I think a lot of people think you're a coach, your life is una perfección. And it's like, little do you know that just because we are coaches, it doesn't mean we don't, all of a sudden, we don't have any issues and we know how to solve everything. Absolutely not. And something that for me, it changed. Moving to a new country, you have no social network. You're starting from scratch again. And like I told you, even for me, I'm like, ya mero cuarentona. And I'm like, otra vez, I'm starting over. And like, that really impacts you mentally. Like it really you look at your friends and you're like, they're all hanging out. They're all doing this. And it started impacting me where I started feeling like it's draining me. Like me estoy deprimiendo by being on social media. And you know what I did? I said, I need a social detox. Why? Because I need to look inward. Like I need to understand. And I think that's a big part of this is I had to do a self-inventory, which is the first step. You do a self-inventory. Like, why am I feeling like this? Like, ¿de dónde viene esto? Like, why is this happening? And then I started just writing it down. Like, all right, so is this even helping me? Like me feeling bad about myself and And I'm like, what is it that I'm feeling? And I'm like, I'm feeling like I'm missing out on life. Like all my friends, con niños or doing this or, buying their houses and they're living this life. And I'm like, And then I had to stop and I'm like, okay, I have to honor. So never hide your feelings, own it. I'm feeling a little bit of like left out, like, I don't have those friends here. I can't just call a friend to say, vámonos a comer unos tacos, vámonos. Like you don't, but it really impacts you where you're like, I don't have anybody here. But you know what? 2 weeks, I didn't look at anything. And I was like, this is my chance to really look at what those feelings are and really live in it. Like be in the present moment with those feelings. Like, a couple nights of pura lloradera of exactly what I was feeling. Like I had to own it because you have to go through the feeling.
Yes.
Not around it. O sea, you have to go through it. Te va a doler. Let's just be honest. It's gonna hurt.
It is.
But you need to go through it. So I'm like, okay, I feel like my friends are like still hanging out, like yo acá toda sola, queriendo comadrear. And I'm like, oh gosh. And so I had to own it and be like, okay, that's what I'm feeling. And then it was like, okay, now that I own it, what am I going to do about it? Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what? I'm not even reaching out to my girls. Like, hey, like, what's up, mujer? ¿Cómo andas? Like, I haven't even done that. And I was like, oh, okay. So then that's what I'll do and check up on them. And so so it's taking action right after. Like as soon as I get to know what that feeling is, you understand it. The thought, even my thoughts where I'm like, ay, empezar otra vez. And then I'm like, okay, perception, Nancy, is this from fear or is this from empowerment? That's out of fear because I'm like, to start again, I had already done it over there. And then everything that I was feeling, sit in it, own it. Like, this is how I feel. Yeah, ya me calmé. I did, some of the things that I do with my clients, a breathing exercise, my journaling, my meditation to let it go. And then I'm like, okay, ya medio me calmé. And it's like, all right, now what am I going to do about it? And it's stuff like that, if I'm busy distracting myself, looking at who's buying what, who's doing this, it impacts you. So you have to set that boundary of, you know what? For example, if meeting with your family stresses you out because they're going to ask you, pues, ¿cuándo vas a tener hijos? You're just like, ay, que la, like, I don't want to talk about this. And it makes me feel a certain way. You have to set those boundaries. So yes. That is setting boundaries is another one that you do. All of this stuff that happened to all of us, like it's a perfect time to go inward and really look at, ¿qué es lo que debo de hacer? I've been doing the same thing for all of these years. What am I going to do different? Wow. What am I going to do different that's going to help me be a better person? That's going to help me through this difficult mind, everything, issues, challenges with life, with the economy, con todo el desorden que anda. You have to find that place of peace. And if that means no TV, if that means no social media, whatever that looks like, yes. You really have to take that inventory of yourself of like, why am I always having these issues? Like, or what is it that I'm, whatever that looks like. Right. For a lot of friends during this time who are single, we're like, how did you do it? Like, damn, like, I've lost all hope. We can't even meet up anymore. And now I got on, Bumble or this or that. And like all these apps and, pues quién. And I was like, girl, this is your chance to do the inner work. Exactly. Like you're questioning a lot of things because there's a little bit that's still saying, maybe I'm not even worthy enough. Yeah. Again, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe there's something that's creating that doubt. Why don't we look into that? Like, you got to follow that and really be honest with yourself. Yeah. And it's, you know what? Yeah, maybe tengo ese miedito, like, ¿qué pasa? What if I don't find that other person? What if it happens again? Or what if my heart gets broken again? Yeah. I don't want to go through that. Well, that's honesty. And that's truly like, all right, I'm getting to know why those thoughts are coming up. Exactly. And that's the biggest thing is like, really, you know what it does? You take your power back from all of that.
Ooh, you take your power back, and that within itself requires a different level of courage, Amiga. Wouldn't you say? Because this is, they don't, my tias, my mom, nobody freaking taught us this. They didn't teach me this. They don't teach us this anywhere. It's something that you have to make the effort. Again, you learned it through coaching, as did I, thankfully. And I think that's why we became coaches. But this thing you just brought up, actually, was something that I was talking with my coach. My coach is this amazing, this coach, he's such a badass. And he asks me the most thought-provoking questions that I'm like, oh my goodness. I swear, sometimes I'm like, God is speaking through this man. Yep. But because he's allowed himself to do the internal work and, he understands himself, therefore he understands me, and he knows which questions I'm realizing now, right, Nancy, that I'm like, yeah, they're really thought-provoking questions. And one of the things that he brought up was what you brought, this ability to sit with that, oh my goodness, that fear, and understand it and question it, and, not get sidetracked by external factors, but go in intrinsically and develop that curiosity around, okay, why am I feeling anxiety? Okay, porque estoy soltera o cuarentona, nunca me voy a casar, or, whatever it is, or I'm starting a business, or I need a pivot in my business, or I need to do speaking engagement, whatever fears, challenges, or self-limitations are coming up, we need to develop more curiosity around that.
Oh my God. And you said such a powerful word, and it's curiosity.
Okay.
Because you know what? I think a lot of people have certain connotations with words. So like when you tell them you got to do self-reflection, they're like, ay, Dios mío, like, no. And you're like, but if you put it as, are you curious about yourself? Like, why do I behave like that? Or why is it that when a man comes into my life, I find any excuse de que no va a funcionar? Like, there's got to be a reason why. There's a and that curiosity is what keeps your mind open. It leaves that curiosity, the state of wonder. The state of wonder is the most beautiful state to be in, because you leave your mind open, even though the fear is there, but you're leaving the door open to say, I wonder why. I wonder why.
And this is applicable to every area of our life, right, amiguita? So like, why am I getting triggered because my husband said this, and it's taking a step back and not allowing your emotions to start, an argument, unnecessary argument.
Yep.
He's just not going to listen, you know? So it's applicable to every area of our life, is taking a step back and going, why am I pissed the hell off? Because, I was downtown the other night and some guy said something stupid. And I just kind of I took a step back, and the aggressive Sandra, the military chick, wanted to come out. But I'm growing, I'm learning.
You're like, God, why do you send me these things to test me?
Which is like, okay, this is a test. So I took a step back and I said, okay, I'm going to allow the goddess, so to speak, to just develop curiosity around what he said. Why is it annoying me? Is there any truth to that? No, it's just a statement on his part. He's just, saying what needs to be said. Was it disrespectful? Not at all. But just something about what he said, I was like, oh.
I'm ready to take World War III on board. You're like, I'm ready for this. You know what? Funny that you say that, because a lot of growth, and I'm telling you, I think we never stop growing. And that's the thing, like, just because you've done coaching doesn't mean, okay, yeah, I know how to solve every issue. Like, no, you get tested and you continuously work on it. And I think a lot of it comes from our own background. Like, I think a big part of it, with, for example, in my case, like my family, like my mom and dad, like my mom was always the independent woman. Y no dejes que un hombre, blah, blah, blah. Like everything was like that. So that was ingrained in me. And and this is where I'm like, God put me in a situation where I was like, mijita, you're going to learn this part and you have to figure it out. Where he, for me, completely running an amazing business in LA. I mean, I was like living the dream life, and I didn't give a care about life, because you know what? I paid all my bills. I got to travel. I got to live the life the way I wanted.
That's right.
When I moved to Dubai, sold everything. And then I had to rely, at that time, he was my boyfriend. So I had to rely on him. That was the hardest experience, because I was running out of money and I was like, oh my God. And he would say, oh, do you need anything? And yo, no, of course not. Like, no, I got it. And it's that almost like defensive thing of like, what makes you think I don't have it? And I was like, Nancita, we got work to do, girl. We got work to do, because we prayed so much for, I want to feel taken care of, because I'm always the one taken care of. Like, I want to be taken care of and I want to get spoiled. Like, I want to know what that feels like. Y que me lo da Diosito. And then I was like, like, how do I even handle this? Like, I rejected it. Like, it was like too much for me. If he were to give me a gift, like an extravagant gift, oh my gosh, era like what you think that I can't get that for myself? Like, I couldn't accept it for it being just for being me. Like I was like, okay, ahora pues le voy a limpiar la casa todo el día, like, you know, because I earned it. Like that way I can earn it. And I was like, oh my gosh, all of my belief systems were getting tested all at once.
Yeah.
And it sent me into like a turmoil and a complete brokenness of my foundation of who Nancy was. Like it broke it.
And why, like, Amiguita, why do you think we feel we need to earn something? Like you were saying, he gave you this amazing gift, and a part of you was like, oh, no, I feel I need to, you know, earn it. Therefore, I'm going to go clean the house. I'm going to do. Why do you think there's that need to do that?
A lot of it is our self-worth, where it's coming from. For me, and I can say it because of my parents, generations of all of it. Generation is inside of you, and it's my self-worth is plugged into work. So the more I work, the more I'm worth. The more I do, the more I'm worth. So when I'm not doing, my worth is en el piso. And that is when I realized, oh my gosh, my self-worth is plugged into how much work I do, how productive I am, what I'm doing, how much am I doing, how much am I working? And I was like, no, I should be good enough just for being me, the energy that I bring into this home, this new relationship. Like, you know, I'm a positive person. I'm good. I'm grounded. I have a good head on my shoulders. Like, why isn't that good enough?
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Why isn't that good enough? And see, this is where the questioning comes in. Why? Oh, well, because of my mom. When I see my mom, ella es trabajadora, y not even a second of que I've never seen my mom sit down on the couch and just relax because no estamos haciendo nada. Like, you know, it's like her self-worth is completely on how much work you're doing.
Yeah, subservient, right? I mean,
like you got to serve. Even in Dubai, and I say this to you because, you know, now as a coach, I see it. When she came to visit, she had never imagined visiting Dubai. So her mind was blown to pieces every direction, watching everything. Everything was like a wow factor. So if my husband, like he gifted her a nice little gift, she couldn't accept it. She was crying and couldn't accept it. And for the first time ever, I heard her say, I'm not good with receiving. I don't feel good enough with receiving. I feel like I have to do something like da 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 da. And I'm hearing her and I'm like, oh my God, that's the program that was in me all of this time. And this, ya es señora, like, yeah, you know, con todos los hijos, they've all grown up and gone, and she's living with this. And I was like, wow. And it just really let me feel compassion.
Yes.
Whereas before we were like, ay, ama, usted siempre con sus cosas, you know, like, and it's like, wait a minute. She has that instilled in her that if she sits down, she's lazy, huevonzota, que no tiene this, and la, la, la. And there's a story that's playing in her head when she sits down to just relax.
That's so good.
It was beautiful to see her even sleeping through the night and waking up, you know, after 5:30 in the morning, where we were like, oh, and she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so relaxed here. And I was like, why? Because my husband is like that, where he's very calm and he's like, let's enjoy. There's a different story. There's a different energy with him and me, where we live completely different than, you know, like when she says, no le planchas? You don't iron his shirts? I'm like, no. Like he calls a service, they come and they do it. And she's just like, oh, okay. And I'm like, Mom, I don't need to like be at his like beck and call.
Exactly.
To be living this like life. Like, yeah, I deserve it because I'm me. And she was just like, but you could see the hesitation of even hearing that. Like,
yes.
No, hay que hacerle de comer hoy en la noche. Mira, you know, we went out all day and pobrecito, he worked all day. Nosotras like having a great old time. And I'm like, Mom, but that's life.
Exactly.
Like, this is life. And it it's consistently changing that generational stuff.
Absolutely.
And this is what we're doing.
Yes.
A lot of people right now, like you, myself, we're breaking all those generational, like limiting beliefs of your worthiness comes from all the work that you do. Ya ves tu abuelito, he used to do this, and tu abuelita, like, you know, they did all this, and you're just like, right, but that's different. Yeah. We are in a completely different time.
Yeah, no,
best time where we can choose. What kind of choice are we going to make moving forward?
You know, amiguita, and you're right. Like my having been married, like as I shared with you before, 15 years, I was my mom, that subservient spouse that not only worked like he did. I was in the Marine Corps, raised 2 daughters, right? But he had dinner every night. I was cooking, cleaning, washing, doing everything because this is what was ingrained up until the point where our, you know, marriage abruptly ended up in an ugly divorce, unfortunately. But it was when I realized, a la chingada, you know, yo voy a hacer mi vida. You know, I was the perfect spouse, the perfect, you know, I trying to keep it housemaker, working full time. I try to do everything. In the end, that shit didn't work.
Yep.
And I realized, it's about my happiness. And it's not about, I deserve to be happy, you know, and we're shifting this paradigm, so to speak, by showing our mothers that this uneasiness that they feel as a result of receiving gifts, or this uneasiness that they feel, they just have to understand it a little bit more and shift it because it's no longer serving us. You know, yeah. My mom and I were in Tijuana yesterday. We're driving across the border. I mean, and we had this casual conversation, you know, and I kind of threw it in there. I don't know how it came up, but I said, Mommy, yo voy a tener muchos novios, you know? And you know how our mothers, when they hear that, is like, what? A lot of boyfriends? You can't be promiscuous, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, any talk of that. So we, you know, my dad passed. He passed last year. So my mom and I estamos solteronas, you know? So I just brought it up. I said, Mom, I know you're 67, but you gave my father an incredible life. I said, you set the example. You raised 3 healthy, successful children. I said, you're entitled to do whatever you want. I said, Mommy, agarre un novio. Go get somebody, you know. She's like, ay, mija, ni lo mande Dios.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Mom, you deserve this. But I love how you're sharing this piece, amiguita. It's about shifting this paradigm so other women can see, especially our family members can see that we have to challenge the status quo. We have to constantly challenge our beliefs.
If it's not making you happy, you have to challenge. Instead of sitting there and accepting, this is my reality. Yeah, I'm divorced. I'm always going to be this, la. Like, you get to choose what that story is. And it's funny that you say that because when I dated my husband, you know, obviously it was long distance. Number one, already that's a no-go for like my mom. Ay, pues no lo conoces bien, porque claro que se va a portar bien cuando lo veas. And it was like, God, how do I explain this to her? And when she knew I was moving and I had only dated him for a year and we had only had 6 dates, for her, it was like, you're making the biggest mistake of your life. And it was very difficult. She's like, you haven't even dated for 2 years because it has to be minimum unos 2 años until you really know who they are and blah, blah, blah. And it was like, I kept saying, reject. Because I'm like, nah. That's not my reality. Ooh. I'm not accepting that. That is not my story. That is not my reality. It might be for you, but it's not for me. But I had to mentally, anytime she would say something that was challenging me, I would say, reject. I'm not letting that into my brain because all this work that I've done in my mind, it's, you know what? In my gut and in my heart, I know this is the right thing to do. It's not normal. It's not the norm. I met this guy at a club. That's not the norm. Like, Nothing, none of it was the norm, but yet the heart knew this is the right way to go. And I had to challenge myself. Like, are you willing to let go of a very successful business over 8 years, living in your dream place of LA, living like the life, attending amazing events? O sea, I really had to like, is this really what the heart wants? And it was like, yeah. And I was like, all right, well, here we go. Now, again, it's not like smooth sailing, like, okay, I followed my heart and oh my God, it's all been rainbows and unicorns. Absolutely not. It came with a whole new set of challenges.
Yes.
But you know what? All of these challenges along the way that continue to happen, continue to break my foundation where it was never stable to begin with. So, pa fuera with all that. And now it's like, I want to choose things that make my foundation so strong that nothing can break that. So little by little, challenges come up and it's like, ay, Dios mío, otra vez, I got to work on this. And you know what? It is what it is. Like, we got to continue to do that. We're continuously reinventing ourselves.
We are continuously, never stop growing. So I know for the viewers that are watching us, amiga, as it, and I brought this up before, as it relates to mental health. So for somebody who's out there, possibly like, I know some prospects that I've been speaking to, like, she's like, one of them's like, Sandra, I'm losing sleep or anxiety, because of the global pandemic or what have you, new stressors that are in their life. What tips can you give this woman or man to work to help their mental health so they can, move forward in a way that reignites their spirit?
Yeah. Oh my God. The easiest one, I'll share two, but the easiest one that they can do, one of them, and it's the power of writing. Don't let those thoughts sit in here.
Okay.
Because they're just going to go around and they marinate. No. We don't need all that. You don't need to know why, nothing. Just write. Get it out on paper. O sea, move that energy from the cabecita into the paper. Like, right. What are you feeling? Today I was feeling anxious because, there's no money in the bank and I don't know what my husband's going to do and I'm not working or que el otro and da. Just write it out. Write it. And don't judge it like, oh, I should say it like this mejor. No. How it comes out, a escribir. Write it all out. And what that does is allows you to like have a little bit of space in your mind so that your own guidance can come in and it helps you find the answer. But you can't because your mind is so busy. So that's why I do the writing. Write it. If you have questions, write them out. I don't even know what I'm going to do. I don't know if this anxiety is ever going to leave me. I don't even think it is. Whatever you're feeling, like write it. Hasta que you feel some sort of like, okay, I feel comfortable. Then set an intention with it. Whatever intention you have. May I find the answer to this? May I find a way out with ease and with grace, with flow, whatever you want, and burn it. It's almost like if you're doing a ceremony, a ritual, kind of like, and our mind for some reason attaches itself to, oh, ya se fue esto. Like, because you let it go. So now that you've seen it, it's come out, you wrote it, and now you burned it. It's like mentally your eyes are seeing it burn away. It's like, ooh, like at least you have that. That's a massive one. The easiest one that's free that you could do at home all by yourself.
Oh my goodness, amiga. I had my women's empowerment retreat last in Mexico, which you missed out on, mamacita. You got it. It was so much fun. You, amiguita, you got to come in and show us. This is wonderful. Oh my God. What you just shared with me is amazing because it gives this woman closure. And like you said, it allows her to receive.
Yes. Massive. And the second piece to that, for those that want to take it to that next level, is do the breathing exercise. And it's literally the easiest thing. Set your alarm on your phone so that you're not thinking about it. Only unos 5 minutes. But 2 minutes if it's only the only thing. For a lot of moms que no tienen chance to be by themselves. 2 minutes, but do at least a minimum of 5 minutes. Set your timer on your phone and choose what you want to let go of and what you want to receive. So for example, for those people who have anxiety, I want to let go of all this anxiety or all this depression, and I want to receive peace in my heart. Okay. So the 2 words that mainly that you want to let go, anxiety, and that you want to receive is peace. And when you do a breathing, start your 5 minutes. And when you breathe in, think of the word of what you want to receive. So you breathe in peace, and then you let out the anxiety. I breathe in peace. So that's all you think of the word peace, anxiety, peace, anxiety. You do it for 5 minutes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. You have no idea what that does to people. Like some people will start bawling their heads off and you're like, wow, but it's because you're moving that energy out. Like, muévala, mijita, like, muévala pa fuera. And it's just with the breathing, because you're bringing more oxygen to your brain because you're using that to like, it has an intention. Yeah. And that in itself has so much power.
You know, amiga, I actually did this without knowing back when, like 4 years ago, when I found out I was gonna get a divorce, you know, going through separation, and I was livid. You know, you realize when somebody betrays you and you're like, now I understand crimes of passion. And you're like, what do I do with all this rage, hate, anger? And I know why people cut up people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has to be scary for my youth, but I'm so infuriated. Like, I'm like, let that freaking mother effing dude be here. I will cut him. I was so pissed, amiga. So I didn't know what that. So I remember I would go to the gym and I would just pretend I would inhale white. Like, God, help me get rid of this pinche demonio that's inside of me. I swear, amiguita, because you feel uncomfortable in your own skin.
Yes. Yes. Because it's not you and it's not natural to have all of that anger or anxiety or sadness or frustration or disappointment. Like, it's not natural for the body to have that. Even what you do, releasing it, whether it's at the gym, you know, where you're like, like lo suelto pa fuera. But also within the breathing, where it's something that's at home that you can do that's rapidito, quickly, that you could just get rid of it. And you're like, all right, here we go. Like, you allow that to come in. Oof.
And this is what's simple
but powerful.
You know, it was like, I imagined like white light, like God in, you know, purity. Yes. And I would exhale all the black shit that needed to come out every time I would inhale and exhale. And that helped me so much to move forward, you know, but I love all these tips, these strategies, these secrets you've shared with us, amiguita. What an absolute honor it has been having you on this episode of Pull the Trigger, which is, you know, designed to help high caliber women and men pull the trigger, take action, you know? So it's been an absolute honor. There's going to be more. Just so you know that.
This is not the end.
This is not the end, porque when comadres get together, vámonos.
It's over. You're like, it's over. It is. But you know what? This is the beauty of this, is that you get to, in everybody's challenges, you get to see the real them, and then you get to see how they've come out of it. And it just gives people hope. So thank you for creating this for so many people that are going to be listening and watching and feeling like they're a part of the cafecito aquí con las comadres, and like, you know, enjoying you're like, oh my gosh, yes. But that's the beauty of this as well. So thank you as well for having me. And I truly, truly enjoyed it so much.
Thank you, Amita Chula. I cannot wait to fly into the UK and just tell your hubby. I don't know, but I'm coming to see you, Amita, inshallah, hopefully soon. But how can the viewers, Amiga, connect with you? Because they have to connect with you. How can they connect with you? How could they reach you?
Typically, if I do anything, it'll be on my Instagram, and it'll be on the _confidence_catalyst. And, I'm sure if there's a thing on it or something, you'll pop it in there. But that I have a lot of that stuff in there already. People can look through it. But that's one thing that I will be doing moving forward, is bringing more of this authenticity in this real life stuff that happens on the daily, and being my real self on there. And that's one thing that is definitely that I will be changing, because I was like, no, this perfect face y todo. No, this is not authentic. And as you said, authenticity is so big for me that I'm like, here we go. Moving forward, me van a ver the realness of it all.
Yes, because I love the realness, and I love and I admire you from afar, amiguita. And again, I can't wait to connect with you. I'm here if you need anything. And for my viewers that are watching, please connect with Miss Nancy. She is a powerhouse. She's a goddess who will reignite your confidence so you can tap into your greater potential. Te quiero mucho, amiguita linda.
Thank you.
And we'll stick with it.
Glutathione is a big word. It's the body's own master antioxidant. It's a scavenger for free radical, bacteria, and viruses. There are no products in the market with the ingredient NASET. NASET increases the production of glutathione that's in our body already to strengthen and enhance our immune system, elevate sense of well-being, support muscle strength and endurance, cognitive function, and liver support. It helps with increased energy and blood sugar regulation. Get your bottle of GSH Plus from www.salvationnutra.com.